This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Yeah, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, Jason, what do you have on tap for us today?
Well, surprisingly, we're actually getting back to the well of Star Trek comics, much sooner than we expected because, I know we talked about Star Trek Year 5, a couple of weeks ago, but we've got something else that I've been wanting to talk about for a good long while. And you know what that is, John?
Um, Star Trek?
Yes, more Star Trek, but that very specific Star Trek niche that is Star Trek Lower Decks, the animated series that's been airing on Paramount Plus for like 4 seasons now. We're in the middle of the fourth season. It's been great, and I've been really enjoying it. You know what? You know who else has been enjoying it, John?
Ooh.
Hey, Christine. Hey, Christine. Welcome back to the podcast.
Hello, it's good to be back.
Yeah, and we understand that you've had your own Star Trek enjoyment over the past few years and all. Like you've been getting into this. It's like for a while now.
Yeah, it's a newer journey for me, and now I'm really into it. And even though I'm a new fan, only a few years, I'm really getting into all, the whole everything. And even to the point where now Lower Decks, I understand all the references and the parody. It's hilarious because it's just making fun of it's like Star Trek plays itself, right?
Yeah, it's it's basically Star Trek taking a look at its weird strange continuity and deciding that everything matters, everything from giant Spock from the animated series to Q's weirder adventures, to the weird koala that apparently is at the end of Ascendance and all. I didn't know that was a thing, but yes, it is apparently according to Lower Decks. But the reason we're actually talking about it right now is because hey, IDW, which is all the Star Trek comics right now, including the Star Trek Year 5 that we talked about a couple weeks ago, and also the current Star Trek stuff the Defiant series. It's and the ongoing stuff. They also did a Lower Decks miniseries, which I wanted to talk about because I really like Lower Decks. And it's been really Lower Decks has been really fun for these past 4 seasons, even if the quality's been kind of uneven overall. I mean, it's first season was a lot of fun. Second season has a really interesting bell curve in terms of how the quality goes. The first part of it was really fun, then kind of dipped a bit, but then it finished strongly. And then third season started off kind of weak before finishing strong. But fourth season has been, really fun, so far. I mean, what do you think, Christine?
Yeah, I agree with you. There's been some ups and downs, but I think they really got their footing with the characters, and I think now that we've really got a good foundation, it kind of I think it also is similar to how the characters perceive themselves in the series, don't you think? Like they're just trying to all these new ensigns trying to understand themselves, and there's how they relate to each other. Now they're comfy and we're comfy too as viewers, and they're now really taking advantage of them, their personalities and the relationships.
Yeah, comfy enough to be promoted to junior grade now, lieutenant junior grade.
But there's also some of the I like how they move past some of their grievances, right? Oh shoot, what is her name?
Mariner.
Yes, Mariner's relationship with her mom, and I'm glad they finally got over that fact because they could have kept that device, plot device for a long time, but they finally resolved that. And also the fact that they all got promoted and still going and not just ensigns forever. So I like how they're developing storylines and moving past certain aspects that could just stick around forever, right?
Yeah, it's I mean that's been really good. I think that's one of the things that has allowed season 4 to be one of the better seasons of the of the show so far. But it's as much as we've enjoyed this the series so far, right? Well, we're gonna talk about the actual comic, or at least the one volume that
Yes.
that IDW has produced so far. But the thing is, they actually got a really strong team to produce this one volume. Um, Specifically, writer Ryan North and artist Chris Finoglio. I mean, Finoglio, his bona fides are obvious, when you look at the comic, and he's able to to nail the look of the comic incredibly well. I mean, you look at this volume, and it's just like you're watching an
Oh,
episode.
it looks
of-
like you're looking at cells. From
Yes!
the show.
Exactly. I mean, that's like the best compliment I can pay this. Pay for this, like this one volume. It's like, and and he just like just does it beautifully. Like from panel to panel, it's like you're like this could have been a proper episode of the series. It's like just based on the art alone, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that's the thing. It feels like this could be a real episode or episodes. Right. And I've really enjoyed the art style and continue with the wacky storyline.
Yes. And also like that's courtesy of its writer, Ryan North, who it's like he's got a long history of like writing really weird, irreverent stuff. Because Christian, you ever hear of like a webcomic called Daily Dinosaur Comics?
I've heard of this, yes.
This is Ryan North.
Oh, funny.
Like it's like Daily Dinosaur Comics is like basically a Microsoft clip art comic where just like this guy just has like one comic. It literally is just like one series of images repeated over and over, and he's been doing this for like decades.
Oh yeah, a lot of those dinosaur comics are used in tech jokes as well.
Yeah,
so I've
and
seen them a lot at work. Like, this is relevant to what's happening here.
Yeah, it's like so North, like he's a solid writer based on that, but he's also like done a lot of solid writing, for like for his own creator own work, such as like it's like the it's like the Midas Touch, or at least I know I'm saying this wrong, but basically it's like it's like a science fiction miniseries that basically imagines what happens like if King Midas his touch was real. It's like, and what happens when like someone who can turn everything to gold with a touch exists in a universe. And that was really, really clever. And that that was published by Boom Studios, and that eventually got him like notice from Marvel, because Marvel has had him write a lot of stuff for years. He did the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl with Erica Henderson for a good long while. So he's also done like lots of other like miniseries and whatnot for Marvel, to the point where he's now writing Fantastic Four for Marvel as well. Like, and that first volume was fun, even if like the first 4 issues were really cool, and the second 2 issues that followed were just kind of like, yeah, all right. But when but the point is, like, when IDW basically like said that Ryan North was going to do like a Star Trek Lower Decks miniseries, I thought, this is gonna be pretty great, because he's like a huge science nerd, and I'm sure he's also like a big Trek nerd as well, and like it's kind of the right kind of sensibility to do a Lower Decks miniseries. And my God, like this one, even if IDW like only does one Lower Decks miniseries, I'm glad we got this. How about you?
Yeah, I wish there's more, like, and they could very well make more, because it's good. And after finish, I'm like, I want another story, but I'm glad to have this because it's pretty funny.
Does it take place like anytime within the series that's already, or is it like it's just its own thing, which it can totally do, right?
Oh, they could have slotted this within any season of the comic.
Yep.
Like it's that good. It's like, because Christine, I guess I got like a philosophical question to pose to you before we get into talking about the comic itself. But what do you think makes a good Lower Decks like story?
Well, I think to me, what appeals to me most is, how all the characters play against each other, right? And they all have very distinct personalities. So it's the mix of the wacky calamity, right? Like the character development, but also all those like references that are general enough, but also detailed within the lore, right? And this is actually what the comic totally does, right? We're gonna pick a theme or something that is known within any of probably the newer series, right? From Next Generation or DS9 or Voyager, some sort of plot thing, and just run with it, right? So it's a mixture of knowing the characters, seeing their antics together, but also mixing in that taking some Star Trek plot device and just running with it, right? Fan service essentially.
Yeah, I think you're right there because I mean, like, basically, like, to boil things down for like what it means to me, it's basically like, a setup that basically things like, oh, this place is comedy. Like I still think back to like the first episode of the animated series, and I think, oh, it's like they're doing second contact. It's not first contact, it's second contact. Isn't that hilarious? But then you think about it for a moment and you think, wait a second, second contact actually makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Yeah,
But I
it's like,
think that's the thing. I think also the beauty of Lower Decks is that it doesn't take itself seriously, but doesn't go that. It still makes sense, right? There's still some thought to it. Like they could have really made Lower Decks like, oh, it's really zany comedy that's like kind of dumb, but it's dumb yet intelligent.
it's not that it's laughing at Star Trek instead of laughing with Star Trek.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think that that whole like the concept of second contact that Lower Decks introduced, like that it makes a lot of sense. It's like, and you think that hey, let's see what they do right there, and I think that's like doing that, like made that first episode like work a lot better for me, and that's kind of what North does in this mini series, because like he actually finds like a really clever like aspect to run with this, because basically it starts with like with the Cerritos breaking up a fight between the like the space hippies from the original series, like what are they, the Catulans and the it's like in the Satanans, Satarans. It's like, and just saying, oh yeah, it's like you because like the Catulans are saying, oh, the Satarans are just space Herberts, man. It's like they're just not cool. It's like, and when the Satarans like fight back against like the Cerritos, like there's like, oh, like their invaders did no damage to us. Oh, in fact, they even charged our shields a bit. It's like, that's kind of that's fun. It's like a good like inversion of like we can expect from Star Trek stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, also it's the parallel, right? The A plot is that like exploring an idea there from the start, and then the B plot is just totally like, let's take some fan service comedy and just run with it.
Yeah, which is exactly what they do here, because while the A plot is basically the Cerritos getting stuck with like second contact for the Gvanti, but finding a interesting like trick with them, because while they're told that hey, this new civilization like may have like technologies like beyond what the Federation has, when it's like when Captain Freeman, like security officer Shax, and it's like and Dr. like Tana, being down there, they find like this is like a feudal place. What's going on here? It's like we've got like all these like these people who, like, were basically like accused of being of witchcraft, or like stealing their kids and whatnot. But then back on the Cerritos, we've got like Boimler and it's like Mariner and Tendi, engaging a like in a Dixon Hill mini like adventure.
I like how fast like, oh, this is like Picard's old shit. Like,
Yeah.
but the funny thing, it's funny because they went from like, oh, this is like old shit too, but they went with Dracula, which is even older.
Yes. Yeah, it's like like when they decide like, let's find something like more should go with, like they said, hey, let's go with Dracula, and then as soon as like as they're descending into the atmosphere, like Boimler's kind of like oh no, we can't do this because like what happens when like remember Moriarty in Next Generation. Yeah, and as he's like explicitly telling what happened with that, it's like he basically says the stuff that unlocks Dracula's potential for for the storyline, which is great. Yeah, because basically like this is a story where like Bradward Warner makes them like historic like fictional Dracula into a real character, like who basically tries to take over the Enterprise. Or sorry,
Well,
Cerritos.
it's also his excuse to wear a cape.
Oh yes, yeah, and it's great because like when he says that hey, it's like like when the like when they like, what if we beam down to a place where it's like like everyone's like freezing to death, like I've got my cape. It's like, and then everyone's like safe because like I can just like replace new ones. Like who's got the who's gonna be sitting pretty with this nice warm cape? This guy. And then you got North text at the bottom saying your next ice age, turn your next ice age into a nice age with a handsome practical cape offer not applicable to Gorn, Zindi, reptilians, or other ectothermic species. Because that's also one of the other things I like about this miniseries. Because he also like North also like does a lot of like in jokes at the bottom of each page as well.
Ah, Gorn. When I saw that episode, I was like, I get Gorn now.
Yeah, it's like fight like seeing him fight Kirk, and that tells you everything you need to know. Yeah, and then also when Dracula like replace all the stuff he needs in order to take over the Cerritos because he's finally figured out a way around the Cerritos's like replicator protocols. Just that reminds you like, hey, I remember when it's like when that guy Barclay did this back on Next Gen. Wait, is it just me? Remember when Ensign Barclay did the replicated, gained like super sentience and like like took over the Enterprise?
Oh yeah.
I barely remember it because, as you know, I try to block out broccoli.
Okay, that's fair enough. Because it's like, I mean, much as I love the actor for his roles, his real life stuff is just like, oh god, why?
And that's the
But-
thing, how his being a new watcher, it's a different lens versus watching it 20 years ago before that stuff came out. And like, oh, okay, now I'm like, I think it was literally as I was watching Next Generation, I'm like, oh, broccoli's annoying, and then my friend going like, did you know? And I'm like, oh,
yeah, I know. But less annoying is when it's like when Captain Freeman tells Shax to unleash the beast. Yeah, it's like, I like how North basically says, like you like is like her actual words were, you shall not separate Buddy and like Boria for today. It's like I mean, yeah, these footnotes that North includes, it's like at the bottom of each page, are just like extremely nerdy, but they're also just like they work supremely within the context of Trek as well. Because
yeah, and if you can't be bothered or nerdy enough to read the fine print, they also have those badgy pages, which I
Yes.
appreciate actually, because I don't have a dictionary mind of every single Star Trek reference.
Badgy pages. What's that?
Yeah. Oh, at the end of each issue, there's like a badgie like shows up to like let you know what episodes like from the original series, like from Voyager, from Next Gen, D69, Enterprise, or the animated series that they're referencing here.
You mean the evil badging?
Well, I mean, it's like he's basic badgie. It's like, I mean, it's like, yeah, it's like the badgie we saw last week was pretty evil, but the badgie like in these comics, like
Neutral badgie.
Yes, neutral badgie.
So not the evil one, but it's still Rutherford's son, right?
Yes, very very much so. It's like, I mean, it's like I mean, it's like I mean, North acknowledges this in the reference pages, but I mean, he doesn't go full bore like we did in like last week's, which was great because it's those episodes, that episode where Rutherford basically says, I forgive you, son, I love you, and that was great. And then it spun a new complication out from beyond that. So yeah, that's kind of like what that's what I love about Lower Decks. And then it finds like weird new like avenues to pursue from Trek continuity while acknowledging it all. And that's what this does as well, because it's also like a one where like Dracula, where their version of Dracula, like he achieves sentience, and then finds a way to like keep augmenting himself like over the course of the story. Because like this is like a Dracula who can like tell the computer like please give like oxygenated like like blowtorch fingers so I can like give get my way into this like like into this ship that's like threatening the Cerritos, because that's also a thing that's happening as well. Because while the Cerritos is trying to like make second contact with the civilization, they like I said, they find out that this place is a lot less complex than they had originally been led to believe. And then when the like actual like dominant species of this planet like intervenes, well, shit gets complicated, right?
Yes. I want to interject here because I was just flipping through the pages. There are no page numbers, but I think it's episode 3, issue 3. And before starting this this episode, we were talking about the scant, and I believe it's issue 3 where the scant first shows up.
Mm-hmm.
The skirt pant.
Yes.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, it's like the guy. It's a guy who's stealing ransom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I mean, like, this is a guy who is just like hey, he's doing his best to to be a doctor, but he's also wearing like a skirt type dress for this, like
It's funny because he looks like he's supposed to look like a manly man, right, with a full bushy beard, and he's got the scant going on.
Yes.
You think he's being a Scotsman, that's my initial impression, Yeah. Oh, then also, as the story goes on, Boimler gets warped away, like by the Cerritos, and then everyone else has to like throw Dracula and his like holodeck, like device onto the Cavanti ship, because like they've got, because like he's got to find a way to like get on there and like stop the attack. But then he also finds out what the Cavanti are also hiding, which is actually kind of interesting. And I don't want to give it away because I don't want to, because it's like we're talking about like all the intricacies of the story. I still want to leave some surprises for anyone who wants to pick this up. Which I like I said, I really enjoyed this as a Star Trek fan and as someone who's a fan of Lower Decks, because there's all sorts of like weirdness and strangeness that observes its version of like everything that happens in Star Trek is true.
Well, remember, it was at your party where you showed it to me. I'm like, oh my god, I'm ordering it right now, and I literally ordered it that day. No, and speaking of Dracula helping resolve the final plot is not a spoiler, but does turn into a very adorable bat with a cape.
Yes. Yeah, and then also when he like at the end of the story, apparently it's revealed that he's not the only fictional character who's been brought to life via holodeck. Apparently, like there's a whole like group of like holodeck characters who are brought to life and are now being like administered to by the emergency medical hologram from Voyager.
I mean, of course. I mean, wouldn't we all?
Yeah, and I also like the fact that they acknowledge like the fact that that the Voyager's emergency medical hologram has basically like established a right to life like argument.
Perfect.
Like,
yes.
Yeah, it's like when Mariner basically like tells like Ransom like what's going on. It's like, oh god, no. It's like the EMH from Voyager is basically like said like we can't just like kill them and all. It's like because this is like they're sentient and whatnot. It's it's fun. It's like, and I really like what like with like the weird the weirdness that North has established here. I mean, he's taking like stuff that we've seen that we know has happened in like previous like live action Trek series, the stuff that we know is absolutely canon, and working his own version of canon around that. And I
Pretty much
really
the
like that.
formula, right? That's pretty much the formula of Lower Decks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I like it because you can picture his voice and his ego, just like, aha, I'm setting up this council, right? It's also totally, very believable to his character.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's something that I wish we'd see in Lower Decks and going forward, but I honestly don't know if like they're actually going to acknowledge like the existence of this comic. I mean, I think it'd be great if they did, but it's like hope springs eternal. And all.
Well, it is a nice thought, but there's just so much Trek material out there that they can draw from, right?
Yeah, but overall, it's like, I mean, I think that this Lower Decks comic, it's like, on one hand, it's like, if you like Lower Decks, then yeah, you're really going to like this. But also, I think that it's like, yeah, even if you're kind of like maybe an edge case, if you're wondering like oh, I think like Trek is all right, but maybe it's like, if you wish Trek was like a bit more weird and a bit more strange and a bit more funny, then yeah, I think you probably enjoy this as well. I mean, am I wrong?
Yeah, I guess. I think I'm a little conflicted because I understand my enjoyment as someone that has watched enough of Star Trek, all the various properties, but also enjoys Lower Decks. I was like, this is right up my alley, and I'm struggling to think how someone that maybe is just a casual fan or have not
So
watched
doesn't
Lower
know who
Decks.
Dixon Hill is.
Yeah, I think there's even though they do their best to be like, hey, these are all the episodes it references from. It is a lot, right? Like,
Mhm.
I struggle to think how someone would take it without reading something with all these references and in jokes, and even though it's explained, it's still a lot.
That's
Yeah,
a good
it's like,
point.
yeah, it's like, on one hand, it's like, yeah, you're right, but at the same time, it's like, I think that what they're doing here is just like weird and strange enough that I would recommend this to like, people who haven't read it just to give it a shot. It's like, just like, if you heard about Lower Decks, you've heard how strange and weird and nerdy it is. Like, read the comic, and because like, I think this still works as a proper episode of Lower Decks, because like, even if you like it's like even if like it's weird and nerdy and like overly comedic, it still works as a proper like Star Trek episode, in the sense that hey, you've got like what happens when like the Federation has to deal with like a planet has like two different like civilizations on opposite sides of it, and they have to like find out what happens when we made first contact with the wrong one. So
I agree with you there. I think the general story is actually pretty good and does fit along with the whole, the morality, the political, themes here. In that way, is a very Trek, but also open enough that as a regular person, you're just like, oh, there's an interesting storyline. But I think the addition of like the zany holodeck thing may kind of be a little off for someone that's just wanting to follow just the regular plot, right?
okay, so do you think it would be too weird for like Marisa or Janine to follow?
I don't think for them, right? I think they're used to the zaniness of things, but I think as a casual reader, I might think it's a lot. Even for me, I thought
Okay.
there was like a lot going on, even though I enjoyed it. So yeah,
Okay.
but that's just my opinion. That's my opinion of opinion.
No, it's like, I get you. Like, I mean, it's like, I'm all for like advocating.
It is
like,
a lot to follow with like, oh, there's
Yeah.
Dracula, but there's this past story with like the other other holotechs being sentient. What does So there's a lot of
like
references.
James Moriarty and all.
Yeah, so you have to understand that connection, like who, Dracula. Why is he there? How what are the limits of a holodeck? So there's a lot of these technical aspects too. I think we take for granted as what has happened before, what's happening now, especially as someone that doesn't understand necessarily the boundaries or the reasons of holodeck or the backstories. And I think that even though those references or mention, it's a helpful reminder as me as a fan, like, oh yeah, but for someone that did not watch everything recently, it's, I think it might be a
Okay.
lot.
Okay, so you make a good point. So who do you think this story is for then?
Us. Someone who is a fan of Lower Decks and knows enough about the Star Trek universe.
I was gonna say that would be my answer as well. If
All
you're
right.
a fan of Lower Decks, you're gonna like this, right?
Oh, 100%. If you like, this is a slam dunk. If you
and
enjoy
then
Lower
why are
Decks.
you watching Lower Decks in the first place?
I think Lower Decks itself, I don't know how someone would appreciate Lower Decks without having some knowledge of it, because there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Even me, there's a lot I have to look online, or another friend talks about it, or go on Reddit and understand those references, some freeze frame references. And I think the spectrum of fan service is very great for even as a casual but invested fan as I am. There's a lot of things I miss. And so I imagine someone who has watched even less than I have, which there are many, would be even more difficult. But the general zaniness and how well it's written, and that's why I think the importance of the character development, the plot development of its own universe has to be really strong, in parallel with all the references to the fan service and the jokes. Because if the general story was weak and it was just poking you like, oh, look at this reference, look at this, it's fan service, I think it would really fall short. But I think the strength of the original characters in Lower Decks and the kind of, even though there are kind of jokes about what's happening, are actually Star Trekky in itself, right? Like, why is this? Why do we do things this way? What is this? And those references, I think that's why I say it plays itself.
Yeah, so basically, like, this would probably work as a proper episode of Lower Decks if they wanted to incorporate it.
100%.
Yeah, well, it's like I agree with you as well. It's like, and unfortunately, like, we don't know when like they're going to do another like miniseries based on Lower Decks. However, I do know that Ryan North is writing a single issue tie-in to the current like Trek storyline, Day of Blood, like for the IDW series, that's called Shax's Best Day, which
So there is another Lower Decks like
well, here's the thing, that apparently like the like the storyline that they're telling in the current IDW continuity, like Shax is a it's like is a character on the it's like on the main starship they're doing, because apparently there's separate storylines on the Defiant, and also what the ship that Captain Sisko is commandeering. Now I know I say Captain Sisko and you're like, what, didn't he die at the end of D69? Well,
he
he's
didn't
back.
die. He just went on a profit vacation.
And he's back now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
oh yeah. If we're
It's a
gonna go on a tangent, that's one character I would love to see. He's my favorite captain.
I would love to like talk about like what they're doing here, but the thing is, IW is doing like something I have like really like feelings about. That's saying, hey, let's put this storyline in a hardcover before we do it in soft cover. And it's like, fine. It's like, I'll just read this when you get around and I put it in a more affordable version. God damn it.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, but hey, it's like apparently, but like I said, Shax's Best Day, this tie into this current event series, like that's the thing that's coming, and apparently, like, it shows that hey, like that IDW believes in what Ryan North is doing, like for Lower Decks, but maybe we're not getting like a proper follow up, like as soon as we'd like. But even then, we've still got this one volume that we can enjoy.
I mean, I know that it's like impossible, but I mean, like, Avery Brooks, please come back to something. I'll just add to the chorus of, we all want to know what happens after.
I think he's come around. I don't think he wasn't like keen on like this
Yes,
being
yes. Before
a
he was
job
very,
for life.
yeah.
But
Before
I
it was
think
like, he's come around.
yeah. So yeah, it's like we'll see how that goes. But it's like as we are right now, it's like this Lower Decks comic, I thoroughly won for the converted, and I know there are a lot of converted out there, and I certainly hope that IDW gets North and Finuglio to write more like from here on out.
Yes, agreed. Would love more issues. I mean, like I said, these feel like cells. They feel like adaptation, a comic of an episode, right? This is a real
Yes,
episode. There's a comic version of it. I can hear their voices
and don't tell
in
us
my head.
otherwise.
Don't make comic adaptation of existing episodes. Make new issues.
Exactly.
Hey, Jason, see what you're going to talk about next time on the podcast.
Well, it's like I'm going to something that maybe like you and I and maybe Christine know, as far as like like it's also a nerd touchstone, and then it's like about dealing with the berserkers. Like would you like to fuck berserker? I love a truck berserker, which is basically the comic book that is written by Keanu Reeves or co-written by Keanu Reeves and Matt Kent. It's like, and illustrated Ron Garney. It's like maybe I'll do it about this, but hey, like it's all about berserker. There you go.
All right. We'll catch you next time on Comic Picks by the Click.
Later.